Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien. On the morning of Tuesday, August 31st, 2021, stand by for commentary. Well, today's commentary is on you Terrans. You don't know how to communicate. And I'm speaking about every single human nation state on this planet. You don't communicate with each other, you don't know what communications are. You speak to each other, or through each other, I should say, but you never communicate to each other. And that is your problem. That's what's causing you a lot of discourse here and a lot of people dying because of lack of communication. Will there ever be a human culture? Well, yes, if you work hard at it, but you don't seem to want it. Any of your society seem to want it. You seem to want what you have, and that is it. What you got to understand is that if you have a human culture, some of what you have will survive. A lot won't, but some will. And the human culture, the way you started, say, on January 1st, 2022, and if you look at January 1st, 2322, 300 years later, it'll be slightly different than the first day because it evolves. And you probably meet other species that'll make it different. But you want to make sure that your culture is still 98% in 300 years. In 1,000 years, you want to make it 95%. In 10,000 years, you want to make it 80%. But you see where we're going. And somewhere along the line, your culture will diverge. You'll still have humans with some of your culture, at least 50%. But the things and their experience will be different. And that's what you got to look forward to. But you have to make the big things. You have to give up nation states. You have to give up religion. You have to give up politics to do that. And you have to learn how to communicate. I'll give you a good example. For ages, your communication was based on metaphors. And I know a lot of you don't like the program Star Trek, which I do. There was an episode on the Star Trek The Next Generation where the Enterprise encounters this new race that wants to communicate with them. They're the ones that are instigating the communications, not the humans. But like the counselor, Deanna Troi, said in that program, we have all this technology. We have a universal translator. And we still can't say hello to each other. See what I mean? And that's the problem with you humans. You can't say hello to each other. You got all these languages. You got all these religions. You got all these views. And you still can't say hello to each other. And that's where you guys are. Right where the Enterprise crew and that other alien crew were. They couldn't say hello to each other. They couldn't say, here's where we are. What do we do about it? Why? Because you guys don't bother to communicate. And it takes a lot to communicate. You can speak and talk to each other and through each other. But do you listen? No. Do you understand? No. And do you comprehend? No. And there's a lot of things that could be dangerous in communications. Okay? I'll give you an example. I had a friend in high school who loved this girl from Panama. She liked him too. And both of them were friends of mine, and they said, well, can't you tell him about me, or can't you tell her about me? I said, no. I'm not going to introduce you guys. It's your responsibility to communicate with each other. Because if I introduce you and you guys go from there, you haven't communicated. You have yet gone and let emotion take over, and therefore you'll regret it later on and you'll be the enemies maybe, or you won't talk to each other at all. And so my friend, he decided that he liked her and he was going to learn her language. He didn't know Spanish. And I said, you know, what you're doing could be dangerous, because a language is not something that you learned in school and they teach you. A language is something that you have to learn inside too. And you people who speak all these languages don't understand that at all. I've talked to a lot of people who speak multi-languages, and I do, and they don't understand the other language that they're speaking. The people that language belongs to, they don't understand. So how can you communicate if you don't understand the people whose languages you're trying to communicate in? See what I mean? My friend, he wanted to say and introduce himself and say, hello, what is your name? And the correct Spanish way to do it is, hola, ¿cómo te llamas? Which is one way of doing it. Okay, that's the way he wanted to do it. That's not the way I would have done it, but that's the way he wanted to do it. And I told him, well, if you do that way, just remember, language is not how you say it, it's the inflection that you say it. You mess up one syllable, one letter, or the inflection of the word, and you got yourself in trouble. Okay? And he looked at me, well, you speak English? And I said, yeah, but I had to learn English. Your English is a pain in the ass because you got all these gadgets that come with it. And you guys destroy your language, which is what you guys do. But, so he went over to the girl and he said, you going to be there? I said, I'll be close by. So I was about 15 feet from him. But I could hear him. And he goes over there and he has something in his hand, which he doesn't show. And he says, hello, my name is Stephen. In Spanish, it didn't come out too good for him. And then he goes and he says, ¿Cómo te llamo? And I heard that. Next thing I heard was a big slap. Twing! Right through. And you ladies that know Spanish over there, you know what he said to you, right? Yeah. You guys would have slapped him silly, wouldn't you? Oh, I bet you would. Because what he said to that poor girl was not, what is your name? He told her, how does she want to be licked? Ooh. That's going down third base already, and you haven't got the first base. Ooh, see what I mean? That's a dangerous you guys are working with. There's another example of my dad's second wife, and he had 9 that I know of, maybe more. She was a young girl, 10 years his junior, and I met her when I was 15. And she comes down and she says, oh, I'm going to learn Spanish now that I'm here in Panama. I want to get me a job in the Canal Zone, which she did. She worked for a nice colonel over there, big type Southern Command. She got one of the big top jobs. And don't get me wrong, she knew what she was doing. She had a great brain on her. She wasn't exactly a dumb blonde, and she wasn't blonde. She was kind of a dirty dish blonde. But overall, I don't know much about her because I saw her for 5 years, and that's all I know about her. Never got close to her, never did anything. It was just my wife, my dad's second wife. Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah. But she was over there with him in this group, and she wanted to demonstrate that she could understand Spanish. And I told her the same thing I did to my friend Stephen. I said, you may think you know Spanish, but watch out for the inflection, watch out for the letters you put in there, and how you say it, because it could come back to haunt you. And it haunted her twice. On the same trip. One of them, she looks at my dad and says, "Oh, look at the cuecos." And I look at her and I said, "Where? I don't see any." And my dad just, the big mouth open. I said, "Hey, she's your wife. You said you were going to teach her Spanish." And she says, "What?" I said, "I don't see any. Where did you see?" "Oh, there's the cuecos." And I look at her and I said, "I don't see any." She points at the bird, and I said, "Oh, that's a cuaco, not a cueco. That's a pelican. Cueco in Spanish. A cueco in Spanish means a gay guy." And hello, yo-ho. Yeah. And the people around her were getting very frustrated and belligerent, because she was pointing and saying, "Mira el cueco." Yeah, some guy thought he was pointing at him. Oh, can you imagine how that goes, right? And a couple hours later, they're on the beach. And in Panama, you got to be careful because you got sharks, okay? And she turns around and there's people on there and she's yelling at them. "Hey, hey, hey." Instead of saying, "Come out of the water," which was what she should have said in Spanish, she said, "Tortillera, tortillera." And everybody on the beach is looking at her like, what the hell is she doing pointing out there? Where does she see one? Everybody's in the water. How do they know what's going on? And when she come out, she says, "Nobody listens to me and everybody's mad at me." I said, "Of course they are. Remember what you did earlier today when you said cuecos?" She says, "Yeah." I said, "And I know what you were pointing at because I told them. You saw a shark." She says, "Yeah, tortillera, tortillera." I said, "Really? You know that the Spanish word for shark is not tortillera, it's tintorera." And she says, "Well, what's tortillera?" I said, "That's a lesbian." Ooh. Can you imagine Americans? This is what I'm saying about communications. This is what you have to have. And the American government and the Taliban are not communicating with each other. They're talking through each other. But they don't understand and they don't have the comprehension of what the hell they're talking about. The Taliban, the Americans don't know what they want. And the Taliban don't know what the Americans want. All they know is that you guys are belligerent, rhetoric. Your language is all in rhetoric. Let's bomb the hell out of them. Yeah. Well, you guys should sit down and say, "Hey, we fought 20 years of a stupid war, and we don't even call it a war. And why are you calling it a war either? There's no declaration of Congress on this war, is there? For 20 years, you guys have been killing them. For what?" That's another communication problem that you guys have. See what I mean, Americans and humans? As an alien from another planet, how do you want us to take your society if you're acting this way? This is your favorite alien. Good day.